All right. Okay, we're picking up Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. I am that. We are one question away from chapter 63. So, uh, again, we're talking about the different states and about how where the witness comes from and what is the witness and what's the ultimate demise of the witness and all of this. And so his question that he starts with this morning, he says, how is it that here my mind is engaged in high topics, finds dwelling on them easy and pleasant? When I return home, I find myself forgetting all that I have learned here, worrying and fretting, unable to remember my real nature even for a moment. What may be the cause? Maharaj, it is your childishness that you are returning to. You are not fully grown up. There are levels left undeveloped because they've been unattended. Just give full attention to what in you is crude and primitive, unreasonable and unkind, altogether childish, and you will ripen. It is the maturity of heart and mind that is essential. It comes effortlessly when the main obstacle is removed, in attention, unawareness. In awareness, you grow. All right, so you're getting the picture here, right? I mean, you see that our awareness is like the sunlight to a plant, right? That this awareness, Satchit Ananda, the presence of God within you, is this light that heals you, matures you, ripens you, right? By all of those words, he means turn you into pure love, right? Ripening into pure love, ripening into pure wisdom. And so this is the power of meditation, is during that meditation, you're placing your attention where you want your attention. And all you have to do, anything that you become aware of during meditation, if you don't attach to it, just let go of it, will begin its healing process, right? It will begin its transcending process. And so in your practice, I've really enjoyed this in the last couple of days. Is just to sit there and not worry. Don't worry about your condition. Don't worry about what needs to be done. Don't get yourself stressed out with conditions, things that change because they're unreal, right? And so all of your troubles in their bottom line are unreal. They will drop off, when the body drops off entirely. But in the meantime, your awareness, simply consciously sitting in either the light of your own awareness or in the presence of God, depending on your view of those things, and allowing it to do its work. So you can relax into God. That's part of meditation, is relaxing into him, not thinking about your body and mind. You're not your body and mind. So isn't it interesting that we know that we're not the body mind, but the first thing we do in meditation is jump into our body minds, right? And so just sit back, right? Become a witness as best as you can, just chanting the name, and just be with the beloved. And consciously tell yourself everything is fine. Everything is okay. Mother is doing her work right now, right? And you just open to that and keep your chant going, keep your awareness going, and just relax into it. Let Mother do her thing, right? You can talk to her while she's there if you want, or if it's Mother, perhaps your own chosen ideal. Sorry, I project all my own stuff. But yeah, you sit there and just allow the divine energy, the divine power, the divine awareness. Become aware of your faults. Become aware of, as it scans the mind, passes through, it will present all these things. They're not for you to do anything about. You notice them. Things that you notice get zapped with ripening soul shine. Oh, goodness gracious, did I say it? Soul shine. So your awareness is like soul shine, it ripens the self, ripens you into your true nature, into what you are. So he says, it's just your childishness, that's the reason that we can't uh, get our concentration, hold our mind in the presence, why it wanders and blips around. And so this is a wonderful way to think of how God sees it. You know, he doesn't look at it and look at you and say, oh my God, what a wicked and horrible person. Look at the things he's doing on purpose. It's terrible, right? No, no, it's a childish condition that we're in. Our ignorance is childishness. And so the beloved looks on you as a child, the same way you look on a toddler who's doing goofy things in the kitchen, you know. You watch, you know, making sure that you're ready to go if he pulls on the electric cord or something, but you enjoy, right? God enjoys you. God enjoys watching you grow. He enjoys your process. He's enjoying your life arc as it goes through. He's enjoying the story that you're telling with the choices that you're making. And he looks on you as a beloved toddler, someone he created, someone that came from him. In the same way that those of you who are parents, you look at your child, you can't help but see yourself there. You can't help but see their youth and their newness, and it, in a way gives you a chance to live life over again through them, you know, in a deeply binding sort of way. Sorry. And so but you get that, you understand, or try to understand, try to grow in this notion of the love of God, right? It really helps with this ripening. It really helps with the process. And it just opens the heart so much if you understand the amount of love with which the divine eye sees and the divine eye radiates. That's the attention that's within you. It's the radiation of the divine eye, as it were. Your attention is that radiance from the divine eye, and you can place that anywhere within yourself. And it's always healing because it always trusts in you. It always believes in you. It always hopes in you. It will never fail. Okay? Just give full attention to what in you is crude and primitive, right? Just place that light of awareness on the troubles, on the weak spots, on the struggles in there, right? Anything that's unreasonable and unkind, anything altogether childish. And what will happen? He says, you will ripen. Just place that light of awareness on all of these things that you're nervous about in there, and just let Mother take care of it. You don't have to do anything but become aware. Right? He says, you will ripen. It is the maturity of heart and mind that is essential. Right? The heart and the mind grow up. They stop being selfish, stop having me and mine about everything. It comes effortlessly when the main obstacle is removed, inattention, right? So it comes effortlessly. That's why we say, sit and allow God, place his light within you, right? Become aware of your sitting, become aware of what's going through the mind, become aware of what's happening in the body, right? And all of it. Why? What do you do with that awareness? You surrender it. Everything you see and touch in that awareness, you surrender. You just continually open up, as if you're opening a box and just pulling the flaps back and letting the light in. And it's one box within another box, within another box, within another box. And spiritual life, I found in one way your troubles never go away because they just become more subtle, which isn't great news. But I find, that when I first joined, all the sins were obvious and you know, manifested. And, I was looking so forward to all of that going away as I grew up as a monk. And now I find that the mind gets more sensitive, the inward life gets more sensitive, and those little things that you didn't even know you were having struggles with in the beginning, now those things are just as big and affect you just as much because you're living in a more subtle space inside. And so this is the necessity.
Mohammed, I have a
Yeah.
question. You
Uh-huh.
said put it in the light. Uh, are we asking for it? How do I put it in the light? Before you used to say, do the constant japam.
Okay. Think of a flower right now in your mind.
Okay.
That flower is in the light of your awareness.
Oh,
Where you place your mind is your light of awareness, because that light of awareness that you think is you, you think, oh, I'm thinking of a flower, but you don't have the capability of thinking. You're a witness, right? So you've given yourself many capabilities you don't have, and that's what has formed the ego, right? And the ego's job is to continue that illusion, right? Anything that you've said I can do or I'm in charge of, your ego's job is to continue that delusion, to make sure you do believe that you can do that and that you are strong enough, good enough, educated enough, powerful enough, right? And that's what we have to realize. It's like, oops, I'm a witness. I can't pick anything up, right? God is the doer. God is everywhere present and always perfect. So I can be assured that everything that is being done is perfect, right? And so we just keep everything in that light of awareness, just seeing what's in there, letting it appear to us. It's a watching. Just let it appear to you. Let the mind will present things that to you that need help. But just remember, you're not the one looking. That is the divine gaze, right? You're just kind of holding the handle on the light and sort of shining it around body mind in there. And anything that comes into that light of awareness begins its healing. And so if you can hold that light, that's why we practice, so we get good at concentration, so we can hold a singular thought. If we see something in the mind or touch something in the mind or realize something in the mind, that you can hold the mind there, right? That's why the power of concentration is very important. Because one day you'll surprisingly see the beloved, right? And if the mind is undisciplined, it'll be for a split second and you won't be able to hold it. But if in that moment you've done your practice over the years, you're like, beloved, and you can hold it for another split second. But that will be enough. That will be enough. One split second of the mother can bring you all the way home. That's the beautiful thing about it. So it comes effortlessly when the main obstacle is removed. And the main obstacle, you might have a whole list of ones that you think are your main obstacle, but your main obstacle is inattention, constantly falling into automatic mode, autopilot, right? We're once we know that we're in a familiar loop, right? When that alarm for me goes off in the morning in bed, right? It starts a loop. First thing I do is reach down and, throw yesterday's outfit in the clean clothes, stand up and do a stretch. Then I walk into the bathroom. I start brushing my teeth, right? And then I go in and I start the bath water. I come and I put the toothbrush up. I go in and jump into the shower, come out of the shower. I go in and I do the other stuff, the keeping my beard in the center of my face and, deodorant and all, get taking care of this stinky, smelly, oozing body in all of its ways, so I can present it to people for the rest of the day, right? So it just kicks in and you just go into auto, boom, 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 right? And so what we need to do is to become aware of every step of that auto, right? Let it be, let it go. Don't interrupt the process. No need. All those things have to be done. But don't do it on auto. Sit there and do it with the awareness of the beloved. Look in the mirror, greet him. You're looking at him, right? Watch him brush his teeth or her brush her teeth, the divine, right? You go in and you get into the shower, you become aware of body, like, oh, mind, this is body. Feel the water on body. That's water on body, right? And separate yourself, feel it. See how those feelings, the warm water on the body, are all over there. And then your thoughts about it are all over here, right? So you can see that separation, like, look at that, huh? Right? And then kind of, there's a lot of experiments in the shower that are great, for dealing with body, for dealing with renunciation, for kind of finding out where you are in there, or the fact that maybe you're not in there, right? And sit there, think about the beloved as you think about your day. Put your light of awareness on the events of the day, right? And each light of awareness on each event of that day is going to be a blessing on that event for the day, right? So think positively. That light is nothing but pure love. It can't be negative. Right? So let that love touch everything going on in your day. That's just how we stay aware, stay present. Right? And that's the main reason for the mantra. Well, I can't say that, but I don't know what the reason of the mantra is. That's Mother's realm. But it helps us, right? It helps us remember all the qualities of our awareness. Our awareness is the divine name. Our mantra is the quality of our awareness. It is divine love radiating. It is divine wisdom operating, right? It is presence in awareness, right? You become aware of your presence. That's the power of being. That's why Eckhart Tolle titled his book that. It's the power of now, right? That awareness of yours is the now. Whatever it puts its light on is your now, right? And so this is the power you have within you. All right, chapter 63. The notion of doership is bondage. No, this is so true. The notion that you're doing is the reason that you are bound and feel that bondage. You know, I can tell you just from experience, the difference between standing up and giving a lecture that you think you wrote and that you were presenting to the room, right? And standing up and just simply inviting Mother to use you as an instrument and to speak her truth. The experience of those two things is radically, 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 radically different. In the first one, the anxiety is horrendous. You know, for a whole week before that talk, you're sitting there trying to put it together and you're never quite sure you have enough. You're never quite sure that it's working quite right. It's terrible. You're so invested in it. And then you go up there and you stand up there and you're like, oh my God, I have to give my lecture. Right. And it's all personal. All personal. You're worried about what they're thinking. You're worried about whether you made the points right or not. Can they hear me? What's my hair look like? That's ego space. That's the bondage. But to go up freely, you know, you've been working with the awareness of Mother for the whole week. You've played numerous times and laughed numerous times, putting together an outline of things that she's interested in, right? Because you're thinking of her and and making yourself available to her, and so the ideas are arising. And in faith, you know they're coming from the Mother, so you don't have to be insecure about them. You don't have to wonder about their quality. And then when you go to give the lecture, you just 2 lines before you go up there. Okay, Mother, these people are here to see you. It has nothing to do with me. I'm available. Right? And you go up and then it's fun. Then it's a delight. You're playing. You're allowing the Mother to roam freely, to use the instrument. The stress is gone. And when it's over, no wondering. Mother did it. It's perfect. It was exactly as she wanted it. You don't have to sit there and replay it in your mind and like, oh man, oh, I can't believe I said that. I wanted to say this. Oh gosh, I shouldn't have. Oh, I lost my place. Blah blah blah. Right? This is the difference. And so, if you can really practice this idea of observation, this idea of being witness, and understand that this is all happening. It's just happening. You don't even have to worry about who's doing it. It's just happening. And yours is to take it and to weave it with your to knit it with your needles of presence, you know, your needles of awareness. To take this moment and take Satchit Ananda and apply it to what is happening, to spiritualize it, to see it in its proper light. The questioner, we have been staying at the Satya Sai Baba ashram for some time. We have also spent 2 months at Sri Ramana ashram at Tiruvannamalai. Tiruvannamalai. I can say it when I'm not looking at it spelled out.
Tiruvannamalai Swamiji.
Tiruvannamalai, yes. We are on our way back to the United States. Maharaj, did India cause any change in you? Oh, this will be good. Questioner, well, we feel that we have shed our burden. Wow, that's significant. That's incredible. We feel we have shed our burden. Sri Satya Sai Baba told us to leave everything to him and just live from day to day as righteously as possible. Be good and leave the rest to me, he used to tell us. What were you doing at Sri Ramana Ashram? We were going on with the mantra given to us by the Guru. We also did some meditation. There was not much of thinking or study. We were just trying to keep quiet. We are on the bhakti path and rather poor in philosophy. We have not much to think about. Just trust our Guru and live our lives. Maharaj, here's a warning. Maharaj, most bhaktas, most devotees trust their Guru only as long as all is well with them. Right? What do they call that? A fair weather fan? It means that you're a big fan of the baseball team only as long as they're winning. When they go into a losing streak, you're nowhere to be found. So he's accusing us here that we trust our gurus only as long as it's fair weather. Right? He says, we trust our guru only as long as all is well with them. When troubles come, they feel let down and they go out in search of another guru. Questioner. Yes, we were warned against this danger. We are trying to take the hard along with the soft. The feeling all is grace must be very strong. Indeed, familiar words there. All is grace must be very strong. A sadhu was walking eastward from where a strong wind started blowing. The sadhu just turned around and walked west. We hope to live just like that, adjusting ourselves to circumstance as sent us by our guru. That's exactly it. And who is that guru? That's Satchitananda, right? And so the directions of Satchitananda, which manifest to us as our conscience, right? That's your conscience is Satchitananda trying to poke you, trying to say, hey, wait, you're not living according to your nature, right? You're not in flow here. You're being selfish. You're being self-centered. You're not surrendering. You're too caught up in a narrative of doing to get a result. You're forgetting because you have a result. Anytime you have a result that you're working for, your tendency is to forget, right? And so stay present in the moment. Don't think about results and drift off into the future, right? And don't drift off into the past. Stay present. This is God. Right? And to be present is to be aware that it is God. Right? All grace must be very strong. The sadhu, right? Blah, blah, blah. Maharaj, there is only life. There is nobody who lives a life. Gosh, he has the most interesting way of saying these things. Just that caught me so off on my left foot, and it almost convinced me for a second. There is only life, right? So you are part of what's happening. This is a very interesting idea. There is life. There is nobody who lives a life. That's fascinating. I've only thought about it for a few seconds here. It's kind of waking up the giggles inside, actually, to think about it, because basically you're living your life, right? You think you're living your life, and what is your evidence? Well, I'm sitting here and I'm the one who's aware of all of this, right? But if I walk through the room, right? If I walk through the room for a moment, I become a part of the life, or I become the life that you are living. And at the same time, if I look at you as I walk through the room, you then are part of the life that I'm living. So you see, all of us are a part of the life that everybody is living. But none of us is the person living that life. Because the person who's living that life is a construct of ego. It's a tangle of thoughts in the mind, right? A tangle of thoughts in which our experience gets caught, and and that gives us that feeling of doership, right? The things happening, they get caught and tangled in our web of narrative, And the narrative keeps adjusting like a spider, with those 2 feet that always hold the victim as he spins them around, securing them in their web, right? Ego is just like that. It's like it takes an event and it just starts spinning it in to make sure it gets to control it, right? It's going to give me what I desire. And so we get all caught up in that. But there is no one who lives a life, right? You are pure awareness. That is it. We observe life. Life is God, right? Life is God. And so we begin to see that, and that gives even a greater wonderful feeling inside. And so to become aware of God, become aware of the life in you, living in you. Wow. Yeah, that's so direct and so intimate and so is so real. Just contemplate life, that being alive within you, your existence. That's presence, that's mother, that's the divine, that's the source of your pure love. There is only life, there is nobody who lives a life. Questioner, that we understand, yet constantly we make attempts to live our lives instead of just living. Making plans for the future seems to be an inveterate habit with us. Maharaj, whether you plan or don't, life goes on. Yes. Yes, it does. Whether you plan or don't, life goes on. But in life itself, a little whirl arises in the mind, which indulges in fantasies and imagines itself dominating and controlling life. Right? That's our friend the ego there. Life itself is desireless. Right? Life itself is desireless. But the false self wants to continue pleasantly. Right? So that's where your desires come from. This little passenger inside doesn't want time to just does the story to just pass, to have life just happen. He wants to be in control, right? Life itself, in life itself, a little whirl arises in the mind, which indulges in fantasies, right? What are those fantasies? Fantasies are memories. When you fantasize about what happened in the past, right? You say, "Oh, I'm not fantasizing about what happened in the past. I'm thinking about what happened in the past." They're like, "No, you're not. The way you remember the past is not the way the past happened." Right? Because even if you remember an event, you remember one aspect of that event, and that was what you were looking at the moment of that event. But that event had aspects from everyone who looked at it, and things that you weren't aware of, and affected other things in the room beside you. But you've got this narrow sliver, and you'll think about it, and every time you think about it, that story will change just a little bit. And after that story has been tucked in that mind for 50 or 60 years, that story has nothing to do with what happened. That story is pure fantasy, right? An incomplete memory of an action that has been rewritten so many times that it resembles nothing that actually happened, right? I only had that one experience with this when I went back to Germany to visit my childhood friends. And I went for a walk with my best friend, Brigitte. And we walked along this stretch of road out in the country going to the woods that she and I walked thousands of times and played so many imaginary games on. And as we walked that, we started sharing our memories. None of our memories lined up. None of them. It was a very, 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 very disturbing experience for me. It was almost as if she and I had experienced two different friendships. Those events and things that happened that were important to me, she didn't even remember. And the stories she was telling me, some of them I could vaguely remember, but the things that her experience of her relationship with me, the things that she chose to pick out of that basket and put into her memory, and the ones that I picked up and put into my memory, two radically different things. And I saw very clearly that life is that the past is a fantasy, right? We wrote it and we rewrite it every time we remember it. And we change the order of how things relate to each other and what's important, right? And every time we tell the story, we embellish something a little over here and let go of something a little bit over there. And the next time that we tell that story, that embellishment becomes true. We remember telling the story last time, right? And so this is how it happens. So fantasies doesn't just mean you're sitting in there thinking of fairies and goblins. Fantasy means you're remembering what you think is the past and then projecting a future, right? Oh, let's go to New York in March, right? And so then if you think of New York, that's a fantasy. What you think of as New York in your mind right now is not happening in New York, isn't describing anything in New York, right? And so to realize that these things that we call planning is fantasizing, right? It's funny. Because I know that causes panic in a lot of folks. Planning is fantasy, especially folks who plan, right? And it's a big need, and it's a big bondage because you get stressed. You got to make things happen, and they got to go on time, and they have to be the way you imagined it, and it has to be in the order on the paper, right? Fantasies. Be present. Yes, we do plan, right? But we plan loosely. We give mother lots of wiggle room, right? Lots of wiggle room. And we don't stress. We keep it on her plate. This is mother's game. This is mother's play. I'm an actor. I just have to be the best actor I can be. That's all. All right. All right. So whether you plan or don't, life goes on. But in life itself, a little whirl arises in the mind, which indulges in fantasies and imagines itself dominating and controlling life. Right? So if in your current set of thoughts you're dominating and controlling life, know that the ego is whispering in your ear. Right? It's telling you the story. Dominating and controlling life. Life itself, right? Life itself is desireless. It doesn't have a plan. It doesn't have a purpose. What is it? Life is the manifestation of the infinite in the moment. Right? It's just the manifestation of God. That's what life is. It's you observing a continuously changing manifestation of God. Life itself is desireless, but the false self wants to continue pleasantly, right? So your ego self, who's identifying with the body, he's like, oh, don't hurt me, right? Don't bother me. Don't hurt me. Let it all just be real sweet and nice. So you develop aversions and you have developed attractions, and those become little subtle rules. If I get a coffee, I need 3 tablespoons of sugar in there. Otherwise, it's going to be bitter. And I want to continue pleasantly. So get me my sugar, right? And it starts picking up intensity in life like that, right? We get really attached to some things and we have to bark really loudly to make sure that we're dominating and controlling them. So be careful. These narratives of your mind are what are breaking up your peace. Live the moment and you will not make a mistake in it. That's not to say that you don't plan, It's not to say that you don't plan. You just plan loosely and you keep that piece of paper on mother's desk. If you have to go make a change, you go to mother, make sure that you're dealing with her to make those changes. Don't keep your plans on your own desk. That's delusion, right? But the false self wants to continue pleasantly. Therefore, it is always engaged in ensuring one's continuity. Life is unafraid and free. See, this is why we want to pay attention. because not many of us have an experience of life as being unafraid and free, because we're not living it. We're living our plan, right? We're living our plan. We're not living life. Life cannot be bound. Life brings a million things to you in a moment, opportunities and devastating closures. But life is rich and it's full and it's always defined by love. So be aware, move into that world, right? Come into the present moment. Life is unafraid and free. As long as you have the idea of influencing events, liberation is not for you. Right? That's, wow. As long as you have the idea of influencing events, liberation is not for you. The very notion of doership, of being a cause, is bondage. The very notion of doership, of being a cause, is bondage. Questioner: how can we overcome the duality of the doer and the done? Maharaj: contemplate life as infinite. Contemplate life as undivided. Contemplate life as ever present, ever active, until you realize yourself as one with it. It is not even very difficult, for you will be returning only to your own natural condition. Right? That's the important thing to remember. None of this is an addition. All of this is a returning, a reviving, a remembering what you are, who you are, what your nature is. Right? And allowing that, just like God, in this moment is manifesting himself, you become that manifestation also when you're in harmony with your nature as love, wisdom, and being. Right? As soon as we keep that in our mind and let that take root in the heart, then our actions naturally come from our nature of love, wisdom, and being. And the story of our life is not the story of our plans and objectives and narratives. The story of our life is being present, loving who's in the room, sending out blessings everywhere around us in the moment, being a light consciously with awareness, shining it on everything around us. So you look at a person, if you look at a person, for a moment, they're in your light of awareness. You are the power of God in their life for a moment as you take notice of them. So as you put your gaze on them, that power of Satchitananda, send out a prayer, a blessing. Oh, Mother, may they come closer to you today. Something simple. Oh, Mother, if there's pain in their mind, please remove it for them. You just go around thinking like that all the time. It's an incredible opportunity that we have to be what we are. An incredible opportunity to be what you are. So contemplate life as infinite. Always remember, no matter what little string you're holding on to that you think you're dominating and controlling your life, remember that life is infinite. It's huge. There's no controlling it. Life is undivided, right? So your narratives of components. No, life is a flow. The whole thing is flowing together. Think of all of the stars you saw in the sky last night. All of them and their positions are necessary to create this moment. And how many of them are you in charge of? Right? None of them. But they're all necessary to create this moment. So you see how it keeps you humble, keeps you pulled back, and keeps you aware of the possibilities of change, the possibilities of your narrative not happening. Right? And instead of gripping tighter, let it be free. Like, yeah, it'll change. Yeah, it probably won't happen like that, right? Realize yourself as one with it. It is not even very difficult. You will be returning only to your own natural condition. Once you realize that everything comes from within, that the world in which you live has not been projected onto you, but by you, your fear comes to an end. Do you see what he's saying here? In this moment, life is not being projected on you. Or what's he saying? You must realize that everything comes from within, that the world in which you live has not been projected onto you, but by you. You are the projector of life. Right? Your fear comes to an end. Without this realization, you identify yourself with the externals, like the body, mind, society, nation, humanity, even God or the Absolute. But these are all escapes from fear. It is only when you fully accept your responsibility for the little world in which you live and watch the process of its creation, its preservation, and its destruction that you may be free from your imaginary bondage. Right? This is just a beautiful story of acceptance here, really, is what he's talking about. A beautiful story of accepting the moment as it is, letting it be perfect, not applying your list of preferences and aversions to decide its quality, but to accept it immediately as perfect. Don't go looking for your aversions and your attractions in it. Don't go looking for your favorables and your unfavorables in it. Let it be what it is and take it all and absorb it all. Invite it in. Let it go through you. Right? This was something that I learned in DC when I was walking on those very cold winter days and the wind was blowing. And your natural experience of cold wind in the winter is resistance. You tighten your shoulders up, you pull your arms in, and you push against the cold, right? And you become aware of the surface of the cold on your arms. It's like, God, it's cold out here. I found that if you do that, you're cold. What I started doing was like, let it go through you. Let it be. It's cold. That's fine. It's not a problem. There's nothing wrong with it. Relax into it. And I found that the experience of cold lessened. I was still cold, no doubt about it, but the experience of it lessened. It didn't become that, oof, I can't stand it, right? There's any number of ways that this is true. And so anytime you find yourself resisting something or nervous about something or scared about something or apprehensive, don't think about the apprehensions. Don't think about the contact point where things are stressful. Accept them, which means understand, no big deal. This wasn't here yesterday. It won't be here tomorrow. Let it be. Let it have its effect. Its effect, you take that effect and put it through Satchitananda. That's all. And just continually do that. So realize that everything comes from within, that this world is not coming from outside of you, but is being projected by you. This is when your fear comes to an end. Without this realization, we get caught up in all the elements of narrative, which is our senses, our mind, our body. Questioner, well, why should I imagine myself so wretched? Maharaj, you do it by habit only. Right? This is why we need this fresh observer to awaken within us so that we can become aware of these habits. We can catch them and the things that trigger them, right? To catch the words, catch the sensations in your mind, right? In your body, and understand what things they trigger. Not so that you can stop them necessarily, they'll stop of their own accord, but so that you can become aware of how your bondage feels. And by becoming aware of how your bondage feels, you become aware of your bondage. And when you become aware of your bondage and you begin to understand, you see that it's optional. that it's only because of this certain array of thoughts within my mind that this bondage has any power. If I can dismantle the thoughts that give this bondage power, if I can dismantle that narrative and return to the 0 point of the moment, that bondage will disappear because my actual nature is free. If I'm living in my natural nature, I will always feel free. If I'm living in my ego self, I will always feel the bondage of responsibility and doership, right? So flow with the moment. Flow with it. Make a plan, but let it go. Let it happen. Give it freedom to change. Give it freedom to expand as well. So we do these things by habit only, right? These little circles, these little things, you know. I had a very fun experience last night. It was goofy, but I guess you're used to that. I had a little black hat on yesterday that I was wearing, and last night when I came into the house, I opened my closet and I keep the hat arbitrarily on top of this crate at the top of my closet, and I always have to kind of, you know, give it a little flipping spin to get to land up there. And so last night I came in and I gave it the little flipping spin and it hit the corner and came back down and fell on the floor. I bent over, picked it up, gave it another toss. I gave that thing 19 different tosses last night before it stayed on top of that crate. And I watched my mind, which thankfully I was watching. I was experiencing myself as an observer at that point. I was putting up there, and after the third one, I found the first spark of anger that went across the mind. Right, and then it fell again. And the next time, I didn't even get the off. I just immediately threw it up there, and I saw the funniness. I saw how hilarious this was, the silliness of it. So then I really got into it, and I threw that hat as hard and fast as I could, and I was laughing, you know, and it came down off the thing again. 19 times that thing came off that top of that thing. And so I realized I'm playing catch with Mother, who's in a very ornery mood right now, and we're going to have a blast, right? Because I'm going to throw this thing harder and more fiercely every time to get it to stay up there, right? And finally, I cheated and changed the angle and threw it behind the crate. So I won. I just for the record, Mother 0, me 1. The hat is still up there. So you see these things if you watch, right? If you stay present within yourself, these things which can put you in a bad mood, these things that can frustrate you, these things that can make you angry, can also be a delightful little flirtation with the beloved, can also be a smile, can also be play. You know, it can be a stomping toddler. And so let life be more of a stomping toddler for you. Enjoy those little interactions. And if you're watching them and not identified with them, if you're not trying to control that hat in a serious way, right? You can let it fall 19 times and get a laugh out of it the second day. Right? And so really and truly, this is the nature of life. Life is play. It's adventure. Right? Bring it to center. Bring it back to the feet of the divine. Undo these stories that have knotted you into this life of repeated habits, right? That are no longer, that you're no longer aware of, where you just kind of check out. You step into that shower, and you don't even feel the water anymore. You know, you just, how fast can I get all this done? Right? Get out there. It's like, no, be alive. Be alive. Be present. You're in that shower. Mother's in that shower. You know, you're touching her, right? You're washing her hair. These are all sentimental things. Until you put renunciation behind them, then they become power, right? Put renunciation behind your love and it becomes power. So direct your mind, right, to freedom. Undo its habits by becoming aware of them, by observing and watching very closely everything that happens. You are in bondage by your inadvertence, right? Those moments where you kind of slip out of awareness and go into automatic. Driving's a big one of those, right? You're driving along. What an opportunity, right? When you drive, to be present. Say the mantra, sing the names of God in a silent car. Don't turn on the radio. The radio has not been on in my car since I joined, I don't think, unless I'm falling asleep. That's the only time I give myself permission to turn on the radio, right? If you're falling asleep, you can turn on the radio. Otherwise, imbibe that silence, right? Imbibe the silence. Learn to be at peace with yourself in a silent car. That way you can watch your thoughts. See, the stereo is part of your inadvertence. The radio helps you be inadvertent, right? It takes your mind off of the contents of your life and puts it on some music or whatever they're talking about on the radio. But if you left it in silence, you would be there with the beloved, and the things would arise in you that need attention, and you could give them attention. Things would arise in you, that could teach you, and you can be taught. And so you sit there with the beloved in that silence. So it's because of our inadvertence, because of our distractions, because of our forgetfulness, right? Which are all natural, but the tragedy of it is that most of them are designed to give you peace. You've chosen them to give you peace, and they can't do it. You see, sitting in the car, you turned on that radio for some peace, some distraction, something to busy your mind while you're sitting there. But nothing will be fixed from that, right? But if you leave that radio off and you just deal with life as it is, you be where you're at. That attention, that awareness of your condition is the ripening light that will fix it. If the radio's there instead, that problem perpetuates or solidifies, calcifies into a permanent state of, it can certainly do that. And so be aware. Be aware. Don't do things that distract your mind from reality. You are in bondage by inadvertence. Attention liberates. You are taking so many things for granted. Begin to question. The most obvious things are the most doubtful. Ask yourself such questions as, was I really born? Am I really so-and-so? How do I know that I exist? Who are my parents? Have they created me or have I created them? Must I believe all that I am told about myself? Who am I, anyhow? You have put so much energy into building a prison for yourself. Now spend as much on demolishing it. In fact, demolition is easy, for the fault dissolves when it is discovered, right? When the light of awareness falls on it. The fault dissolves when it is discovered. All hangs on the idea I am. Examine it very thoroughly. It lies at the root of every trouble. It is a sort of skin that separates you from reality, right? Yes, that's exactly what ego is. A skin that separates you from reality. The real is both within and without the skin, but the skin itself is not real. This I am idea was not born with you. You could have lived very well without it. It came later due to your self-identification with the body, right? That's what's happening in that first year of life. When that body, that little baby is laying there. 7 months it takes for that baby to realize that the toes that it's been playing with and looking at in its field of vision belong to it. Right? 7 months it took you to figure out that those toes were yours. The ownership of your body was not natural at all. You had to figure out how to use it. Do you remember? We used to have to put a diaper on you, right? You couldn't figure out how to stop pooping. You couldn't figure out how to not pee. So we had to wrap you in a diaper to protect the rest of us. you know? So think about that. This body that now has become your home, your identity, your very existence, right? At one time, you didn't even know what it was, right? At one time, it was a surprise when you realized those funny little things sticking off your foot were your very own toes. And by looking at them and putting attention, you could wiggle them, right? But you had to learn that. Do you remember not being able to roll over? Do you remember not being able to stand up? Do you remember making a noise that scared you because you didn't realize you made it? This was your condition at one time, right? When you came fresh from the infinite, that was your condition. You had to learn how to be small, how to be in a body, how to identify with it, and to get completely lost in it. You had to learn all of that. And now you get to unlearn it, right? You get to unlearn it. Come back to that 0 point. All right, so let's see what's up. So you've put so much energy into building a prison for yourself. Now spend as much demolishing it. In fact, demolition is easy, for the false dissolves when it is discovered. All hangs on the idea of I am. Examine it very thoroughly. It lies at the root of every trouble. It is a sort of skin that separates you from reality. The real is both within and without the skin, but the skin itself, not real. This I am idea was not born with you. You could have lived without it. It came later due to your self identification with the body. It created an illusion of separation where there was none. It made you a stranger in your own world and made the world alien and inimical. Without the sense of I am, life goes on. There are moments when we are without the sense of I am, at peace and happy. With the return of the I am, trouble starts. Questioner, how is one to be free from this I sense? Maharaj, you must deal with the I sense if you want to be free from it. Watch it in operation and at peace, how it starts, when it ceases, what it wants, how it gets it, till you see clearly and understand fully, right? This is the thing. He's telling you all of this stuff is obvious to you. You know, you don't have to say, somebody doesn't have to say to you, oh, you're not the doer. And you'll be like, oh my God, that's impossible. How could I ever not be the doer? Right. And you just put it off on the shelf as this impossible insight that you'll never understand. Right. But the fact is, it's the truth. And if you are observing, if you are awake inside, if you are present, as you watch, you will no longer be able to believe that you're the doer. As you observe, you will see clearly that you are not the body. As you sit there objectively watching, you will see that you're not the mind. And then behind that, all of this literally just lava flow of information comes to you just simply by watching, right? Simply being aware. You will see the little tiny spark that caused that lust. You will see the little tiny spark that would have warned you that anger was around the corner. You know, you could have seen that little tiny spark that was causing you to build a new desire, right? With observation, you can see the sparks before they're big states of being that you can't deal with. You'll see the sparks, and you can go, oh, nope, not that one. Nope, no, 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 no. Oh yes, maybe. Nope. Right? It becomes manageable. And you start to understand your nature. And that's when the fun begins, because then Mother starts revealing herself. Now that you're removing your assumption of ego doing all of these things, and you start seeing it was your beloved doing so many of these things, intimacy has begun. Intimacy has begun, and you've begun to experience God instead of ego. Right? All through awareness. That's the watchword for today. Oh my goodness, it's 9:05. All right, we'll stop there for today.